everyone. The last topic, which is the assigned topic for our group, is all about population education in the context of population and demography. What is demography? Demography, it is the statistical study of populations, especially human beings. Napakahalaga ng pag-aaral ng population. Ito nga po ang tawag ay demography. Kasi sa pamamagitan ng pag-aaral, marami po tayong matutunan. Halimbawa, kapag inaral natin, bakit ngayong pandemic ay maraming walang trabaho? So, ang population, ang demography ay malaking maitulong kung gaano karami ngayon ang walang trabaho. Upang sa ganun, ang ating pamahalaan ay makapagbigay or makapag-provide ng trabaho sa mga nawalan na trabaho dahil sa pandemic. So yun nga, always remember that demography is the study of the size, distribution, and structure of a specific populations. And the next, census. I know you are already familiar with the word census. Ito ay mga survey. Ito ay naga-survey. The purpose of this census is to ask questions of people in homes in group living situations, including how many people living or stay in each home, and the sex, age, and the race of each person. The goal of this is to count everyone once, only once, and in the right place. Census is gathering information about every individual in a population. Sample, selection of a small subset of population. So what is demographic indicators? Demographic indicators are tools that can be used to identify and describe the population condition. It explains so many insights that valuable for our life. And it is very important because the government, stakeholder, and even a businessman should consider population as a main part of their strategy. And especially for the government, the demographic opportunity will rise when they understand how these indicators work. These indicators also help us to calculate so many insight and useful information for the human being. And carrying capacity, it is the maximum sustainable size of a resident population in a given ecosystem. And the most important indicators of population growth are fertility, mortality, and migration trends, or the movement of people from one location to another. And about natality, it is the ratio of the number of births to the size of population, or births as a component of population change. And fertility, the actual reproductive performance of individual, a couple, or a group, or a population. So, bakit nga ba importante ang birth rates? Because it tells us a lot about community health and are an important measures in overall health science. Then about mortality rate or death rate is a measure of the number of deaths in general or due to a specific cause in a particular population, scaled to the size of that population per unit of time. So what is migration? It is the movement of people from one place to another. And immigration rate, the number of immigrants arriving at a destination per 1,000 population at that destination in a given year. And immigration rate, the number of immigrants or citizens departing from a country at a destination per 1,000 population at that destination in a given year. Net migration rate, the net effect of immigration and area's population, expressed as an increase or decrease per 1,000 population of the area in a given year. Kanina nasabi ko, migration is the movement of people from one place to another. Then, in migration, your country receives people for another country. So the people coming to your country is an immigrant. In immigration, you leave your country to go to another place. So you are immigrant. Tanong, why did you migrate? There are too many reasons like job opportunities, conflicts or war, dahil na din sa kahirapan or poverty, and sometimes dahil sa love. The zero population growth means the number of births equal the number of deaths. A population in equilibrium with a growth rate of 0 achieved when births plus immigration equal deaths plus immigration. Or another definition of this is the absence of population growth in which equal birth and death rates create a stable human population. Next is the population education. It is the study of human population in relation to its environment with a view to improve its quality of life without adversely affecting the environment. It is an educational program which provides for a study of the population situation of the family, community, nation, and world with the purpose of developing in the students' rational and responsible attitude and behavior toward the situation. So the main purpose of population education is to create awareness, to provide knowledge, and to develop positive attitude for improving population situation to ensure a better life now and in future. Population education, it is about the integration between individual, family, and society. Bakit nga ba napaka-importante nito para sa atin na pag-aralan ang population education? Natanong nyo ba sa sarili kung anong cause, effect, and solution nito para hindi na magpatuloy yung pag-increase ng population? Dahil kung makikita natin, marami ng mga taong nahihirapan. So tayo, habang bata pa tayo, or estudyante pa tayo, ay dapat magkaroon na tayo ng mga ideas dahil dumating din ang panahon na magkaroon tayo ng pamilya at dapat magkaroon tayo ng limitation at maging disiplina tayo sa sarili. Dapat magkaroon ng family planning. Ito ang pinaka-importante.
Have you ever asked mathematics, why do we need to be educated when it comes to population? So what is the problem of our society today? In this particular lesson, we'll be talking about the problem, the causes of this problem, the effects, the solution, mga kapatid, and why do we need to be educated when it comes to population, and why do we need to educate others when it comes to population. Now, what is the main problem of our society today? According to our lesson, the main problem is overpopulation. What are the causes? Number one causes is poverty. And tendency, if the country is poor, if the society is poor, if the community is poor, mas lesser yung education na ma-receive nila. So technically, lesser yung population education na ma-receive nila. And number two is poor contraceptive use. Of course, if you are under, especially those married couple and those couple that are not married, if you are under the influence of alcohol, tendency hindi ka makagamit ng contraceptives at chances are mabubuntis mo yung babae. Child labor. Ulti yung worker. That is why we need to produce child in order for them to labor, in order to support our community, our country, our family. Reduced mortality rates. Mas marami ang nanganganak, ipinapanganak, kesa sa namamatay. Fertility treatment, because of the evolution of our science, nagkakaroon ng chances yung mga bao na panganak dahil may treatment na sa mga ganitong bagay. Immigration, kaya naging overpopulated ang isang country because of the immigrant. Now, what are the effects of this problem, the overpopulation? The number one effects, mga kapatid, is the lack of water. More people, more consumption, less resources. No? Kaya mas maraming mas maraming nag-i-intake ng water, mas lesser yung makakainom ng mas maraming tubig. Lower life expectancy. Of course, pag mas marami ang nag-i-intake ng ganitong bagay, unti lang yung naproproduce ng isang tao. Especially when it comes to nutrients, when it comes to health, and when it comes to privileges. Kaya, lower life expectancy. Extinction, no? Yan yung mga root or the effects of overpopulation. Pag lower life expectancy mo, unti-unting mauubos yung mga tao. Even the extinction of animals, mga kapatid. No? Why? Because some people, dahilan sa kulang yung resources, ginagawang pagkain yung mga animals, dahilan sa kulang yung resources when it comes to sa mga kagamitan, nauubos yung mga kahoy na i-extinct. No? Resources consumption. Yes, alam natin yan. Increase intensive farming. Kasi maraming tao ang kailangan ng pagkain, so kailangan maghirap, dumami yung farmer, especially the farming area, and fast climate change. Kaya mas maraming factory ngayon dahil mas marami ang nangailangan ng bagay-bagay. So, especially doon sa mga sakyan. And the number one causes of climate change is how farms, yung mga animals, dahilan sa kailangan natin ng pagkain, mas maraming nangailangan ng pagkain, mas maraming nagpo-produce ng ganitong mga farm. So, therefore, nagkakaroon ng faster climate change. Now, the good news is, what is the solution in this problem? What are the solution in overpopulation? Number one, we have to empower women. No? We have to hear their voice. Number two is to promote family planning. What is family planning, mga kapatid? By using contraceptives in order para hindi mas dumami yung ating pamilya. Number one, make education entertaining. In order, especially sa ating mga kabataan, ang expansion time natin ay 15 minutes. So in order for us to be more, ang tawag dito, to be more inclined to education, we must be entertained because youth needed to be entertained in order for them to learn more. And government incentives, of course, we need that. And one-child legislation. And may mga countries na nagpapatupad ng mga ganitong bagay. And of course, let us remember that population education is not family planning. Or population education is not just family planning. And it is not just sex education. Now the question is, why do we need to be educated? Of course, why do we need to be educated when it comes to population? We need to be educated to ensure the quality of life, to optimum use of natural resources, in maintaining the improving of health, controlling the population explosion, checking under nourishment, giving impetus family planning, establishing equality of sexes, preparing young people for a better family, developing appropriate reproduction behavior, proper utilization of national wealth, controlling environment degradation, and of course, balik tayo, ensuring the quality of life. Why do we need to be educated when it comes to population? Yan. And the number one of this is to ensure our quality of life. Now the question is, what is the characteristic, mga kapatid, of population education? Number one, a new branch of study in the field of education. This must be the major study one of the major study of us today. We must know about the population of our world para makontrol ang mga ganitong bagay in order for us to lesser this problem over time. Study the impact of the increase in population of different age group, no? Study the impact of the total population in the economic development of country. Help the student to investigate, help us to investigate and explore the interaction between population and environment. At isa mga paraan para mas matutunan natin ito is to make the education more entertaining. Help the student to be aware of process and consequences of the population growth in the quality of our lives. Enable us to describe the causes and consequences of population growth in the local, national, and even global level, and provide solution to the population problem and makes human life easy. This is the main characteristic of population education. Now, what is the objectives of population education? What are the general objectives, mga kapatid? Number one, knowledge and understand. We must have the knowledge when it comes to population. And of course, we must understand this in order for us to apply it in our society, even to our family, to our life. We must evaluate and judgment. We must have the decision making. Yung parang sunod-sunod ko. Number one, you have the knowledge. Number two, you must understand it, evaluate it. You must judge it. Now, what is your decision in knowing this, knowing the issue, knowing this education? And lastly, what are your response in making program in order for your family to also be educated, in order for your society to be educated, in order for even your church to be educated in this area. So what is the general objectives? To have the knowledge, understanding, to evaluate, to have the judgment, to have the decision making, and to respond in this education. So, yun lang po.
To continue our report for today, I'm your third reporter, and my name is Zadrak Martinez. For the specific objectives, here are some key points to be remembered. To provide knowledge and understanding of the prevailing population situation. Minsan po mga kaibigan and classmates ay kailangan nating isipin, 'di ba, kapag nagpa-plan tayo sa ating asawa, nagpa-plan tayo kung ilan ang magiging anak natin, and we must understand na halimbawa dito sa community na ito ang sobrang dami ng tao. Sa tingin po ba ninyo kailangan pa natin magkaanak ng 5 o 10? And do we have the ability or capabilities na buhayin ng mga ito? So we need to understand of the prevailing population situation, dahil kapag sobra, alam nating, or kapag madami, alam nating ito'y makakasama. Dahil nga po sa previous reports na kapag nasobra na sa population ay medyo iba na ang epekto nito sa community. Next, to provide knowledge about the present population trends and issues. So yan na nga po, na hindi natin kailangan, ano ba, per family, hindi natin kailangan na magparamihan. We need a better family planning about that. Next, to acquaint the learner with a knowledge of the national population policy. Hindi ko lang po sure kung saang bansa yun, pero may narinig ako na I think sa China, parang one child policy ata yun. And I don't think if nag-exist pa siya today. Na doon natin makikita na kapag sobrang dami na talaga natin sa population, may chance or may tendency na ma-pollute natin yung kinatatayuan natin. And so sa ganung policy ay na-maintain nila or ng bansa, to be specific, kapag may one child policy. The next, to help the learner to understand how rapid urbanization affects their lives. So, yan na nga po nakakaapekto sa ating buhay kapag sobrang dami na. Dami tayong papakainin, papainumin, poprovidean, kasya ba sa ating sweldo, sa pangsustento everyday, kasya ba sa bahay, yun, at iba-iba pa po. And next slide. To explain the learner the reasons for the government's efforts to manage population growth rates, to provide the students with necessary skills to evaluate the impact of population change on the society, to teach students the importance of a small family, to provide information about the measures to be taken to control the growth of population. Major areas of population education. There are 6 major areas of population education. Number 1, the population growth. And number 2, economic development and population growth. For number 3, social development and population growth. Number 4, health, nutrition, and population. Number 5, biological factor, family life, and population. Number 6, population programs, national and international. Role of education. Education has a great motivational force to perform for controlling overpopulation. So, yan. Kapag tayo ay na-educate na hindi natin kailangan sobrang magpakarami, it controls overpopulation dahil alam natin nga po kanina ay lahat ng sobra ay pwedeng makasama. Number 1, children in the elementary stage should also be taught through their courses of study the merits of small family and the merits of large family, and should develop favorable attitude and appreciation for having a small family when they become adults. Boys and girls at the secondary stage should be given the knowledge in a scientific way about the reproductive biology system and the sex hygiene. For number 3, parent-teacher associations can also take the responsibility of educating the families. 4, schools should assume the responsibility of educating the community and the families and should collaborate with other agencies for the education of the masses for having small families. For number 5, community forums and voluntary organizations should draw back of large families and the merits of small families. How population education be taught in schools? For elementary level, here are some key points to be remembered. Growth of population in cities, overcrowded situation, economic development and population, social development and population growth, importance of good health, factors responsible for personal hygiene, life in slums, control of diseases. For the next level, how population education be taught in school in lower secondary level. Population growth, economic development and population. Next, social development and population growth. Next, comparisons of national graphs development. Next, health, nutrition and population growth, biological factors and population. And the last one is stage growth. For higher secondary stage, population growth, economic development, and population growth, health, nutrition, and population growth, biological factors and population, social development, and population growth.
Okay, in this topic about population education, how we will going to educate the students or the communities about population education. interdisciplinary or integrated infused approach. So infused approach or integrated or infused approach is how to connect these studies with the students or with the communities where we live by. So here population education is by life by science, earth science, social science, commercial arts. We can use it by arts, vocational studies, and physical science. And interdisciplinary or integrated or fused approach. So that are those methods that we are going to use. So here we will see this interdisciplinary or integrated infused approach. How we will going to use this. This is one is this distinctive population education unit course or modules. We can use module to teach them, created by and selecting, presenting, and dwelling upon the relevant component of various disciplines. Next, we use a series of related topics of population education are interwoven into an instructional sense. The approach is likely to provide a comprehensive views of various dimensions of population education and hence would be more effective. So it must be more effective. And population education should be treated as an integrated subject with other subjects. Next, how population education is integrated with other subjects. How we will going to connect this with the people. What are the things that we will use? We can use language in the form of series, essays, poems, and mother tongues, and regional and national language. So if the communities doesn't understand the national language, we can also use the local language. And we can use also social studies, statistics on population and impact of population on socio-economic development can be discussed. Next is science and health education. So how can we use science and health education? Problems of fertility, reproduction, family planning, and hygiene problems due to overpopulation can be taught. Next, can use mathematics. With help of percentage and graphical representation, students can be made aware of population growth. In arts, we can use cartoons, pictures, etc. can be used for the teaching population education. Next, teaching methods that can be adapted for population education. What are those methods? Here, we can use correlational method. We can use also direct and indirect method of teaching. Next, we can use co-curricular activities. We can use also extracurricular activities and discussions, debate and seminar that the students and the communities will understand the population education. Next, rule of a teacher in population education. What are the things that the teacher should know to prepare himself or herself before going to teach it to the students or to the communities? Okay, what are those rules? Here, should have in-depth knowledge about population education and should have a clear picture about the prevailing socio-economic status of the country. Should be ready to play a very effective and powerful role in bringing about a social change and should have the quality of being progressive, tolerant, skilled, and creative and far-signited. Next, the teacher should have an active interest in population education, should have interest to be prepared to be part of family welfare programs, and the teacher should act against the population explosion with self-confidence and scientific attitude. The teacher should have the stability and integration of thought, word, and action. So the teacher is not most of the time just only speak, just only given the seminars, but he or she must have the action as well. Okay, next. What is the problem in this population education? Okay, because lack of planning. So it must has plan. Everything has to go with plans, so that it will goes better in the communities. Okay, next, lack of transportation and communication. For example, the teacher, when well equipped, knows everything, but if ever no transportation to reach a certain place, he or she will not able to deliver the message to the student or the communities. And one is lack of communication. If the teacher or even the student, the communities does not have the education, does not have the communication, it is one of the problem that they will not know about the population education. Social and religious taboos. Taboos or means things that secret, that must not be mentioned in the students or in the family. It's because of the social and religious status. So here it must be open to the mind of the new generation, so that they will know about the problem of the population education, so that they may be able to be educated. Next, the problem of integration, lack of search, lack of research. If the communities does not research about this, they will lack of knowledge. They will not have the solution of the problem of the population education. So this is to teach them. So thank you so much for watching and joining this topic of study. It may help us in the future in any profession that we may face after in our study. May the Lord God bless all of you. Thank you so much for watching.